I still love our intro. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Schmoe. We are a South African and European-based after show of the Schmoedown, which had their spectacular this week. And we are joined by, I am Ben. I'm joined by Liam.
Hello, all.
And our new and only predictions winner, Matt, the prediction king, Mattia.
Yes, I'm going to be on top. I'm going to be on top the whole next season because I am the winner of this season. So just keep comfortable in this second, third, or fourth positions, guys, because I'm on top the whole next season because I am the winner of this season. Yes, and I will wear the crown proudly, and I will wear the crown proudly in the end in the next season as well. Just so you know.
Sure, Matt, sure.
And just to say, I'm really happy that Liam will have to wear Manchester United shirt and shit against Liverpool. And I hope he will show that to his whole family. That would be awesome. Yeah.
To be fair,
I
all
agree,
my
Thomas.
family are West Ham fans, so they don't care. It's just me and my dad who support Liverpool. And yes, hello, Thomas. I'm not very happy because not only did I not win, I almost went 0 for 5 in spectacular until the final match. I didn't quite go 0 for 5. Spoiler alert, but the singles title match helped. I won that one. But other than that, not the best evening for me in terms of predictions. But I knew I'd lost after the first one, so I could just sit back and enjoy it. Must say, congratulations to Matt. You did
Thank you.
you swept in at the end, a bit like Corruption did, and you took the win in the final stages. Oh my god, I came third. I didn't know this.
Yeah.
I thought I came second. I came
No,
third
you
by
are third.
ages as well. Oh my god, I'm not even close. Oh well, congrats to Teresa on second place. I didn't know I was third. I was winning a lot of this year. I'm really sad now. Okay,
Yeah,
just
I
give me.
didn't. Do you know that I didn't be? I wasn't in the first place alone until I think last or 2 weeks ago. I wasn't in the first at all the whole season.
You've done really well, really well.
Yeah,
Congratulations, Matt. I
Thanks
I'm
can't
so
those
wait to
happy.
wear
bloody
Man United
Finstock
shirt.
people.
Yeah,
Oh dear.
so happy.
Well, next year's a new
Right,
stage,
Yeah,
new year.
new stage.
so
Guys,
shall we
just a
jump
friendly
into it?
reminder: this whole show will be spoiler show because yesterday was spectacular, as you all probably know who are here and are watching us. So we are going to break down the whole spectacular and everything in storylines in between. So the whole show is one big spoiler warning.
Yes.
So if you didn't watch spectacular, please do so. You can buy it. You can become a patron and watch it right away, or you can wait and then come back to our show and all the other shows and watch some good content on YouTube. So yeah, I'm really happy to do this show today. Not only because I won, because I think we have some interesting things to talk about. So shall we begin?
Yes, we're just going to go through the matches in the order they were aired. And obviously, for the first time, we didn't actually know the order in which the matches would be aired. And I think because of Griffey playing in 2 matches, we kind of had an idea that he'd probably be the first and the last. So it wasn't a shock when we began with the team's title match. In hindsight, I think the teams maybe could have come a bit later. But I understand Griffey had to have time in between the matches, so it made sense as to why it was the first one. And of course, we had Shazam versus King Arthur. Now, this match was pretty even, although Shazam had a slight advantage. I will say it was quite hard to follow because they were still sorting out the scoring, and quite often during it was not matching up to the scoreboard, and it was only due to the audience like being like, no, they're one ahead, not one behind. I was struggling to keep up a little bit, but once completely understandable, big event, live, it took some time. It was pretty much even. Shazam was slightly ahead. They both had perfect second rounds. Obviously, I think like 13-12 after round one. Brendan missed a few. I think Griffey and Khan both missed one, or maybe two each, and then both perfect round twos. Obviously, the betting round was where the match kind of swang. I think Shazam went for free and hit it, and then King Arthur lost two, and then that gap was too much to bring back, essentially. So it wasn't quite the 5-round tie finish I thought it would be. The betting rounds were a big factor in this whole spectacular, and it certainly played a factor in this one. So it wasn't as close as I thought it would be. I'm really, really, really pleased for Shazam that they have finally beaten their curse and are now spectacular winners. And I think this solidifies them now as the greatest team of all time in Schmoedown. I think there can still be an argument for Patriots, and I think there can still be an argument for Shire Wolves. And I do hope that one day we get that match, which we pitched in our Dream Spectacular, which didn't win. Still bitter about it. But I think this solidifies it for me. And they have done amazingly well to hold that title all year, essentially, from when they won it at the beginning. That's a really difficult task. They deserve a lot of credit. And yeah, who can beat them? Who do we think is going to beat them? Who can beat Shazam?
Yeah.
Who's it going to be? We'll have to wait and see. But Matt, what were your thoughts on this match?
Well, this match didn't go exactly as I thought it would because of the betting round. And I have some thoughts on betting round. I will tell it in the end. But did I think that Shazam will win? Yes. Did Shazam again looks like Shazam that is never going to be beaten? Yes. Did I get the Christian's point of view that he said in his preview, in the backstage preview, that for him it's still Patriots because they went 9-0, so without loss for and not single competitor did that. I get that as well. So, but for me, Shazam is right now the GOATs as well, or at least tying up with the Patriots, because Patriots are second, at least for me, and then Shireville's third. I think that Shireville's could get bigger if they stayed in the league, but they just retired because they had to, and I understand that. But Shazam was great. King Arthur was actually pretty good. I thought that Khan's nervousness in the live crowd and in a spectacular would play much bigger factor than it did in my eyes. So good props to that young man. He's the only one that is not used to like the spotlight of those four people. So good, great, and awesome thing that he did to do that in spectacular for the first time, to open it, to break the ice. Great for him. Griffey showed that he knows his stuff. I will just say now that the betting ground for me needs to be looked at, because I think that if you bet 3 and if other person bet 3 and it's a miss and the right answer, it's too big of a swing. Like, it's 6 points difference. That's 3 steals in round 2, and that's almost the whole round 2. So for me, and the Schmoedown came to it that if you don't bet 3 every time. It's a big problem in a championship match, and we saw that multiple times. So I think that betting rounds should be looked at. I don't think that it should be gone. I just think it should be looked at because we saw that is what happened to Eton, that is what happened to Lightning Time, and that is now that what happened to the Griffin and the King Arthur. The betting ground sank them. I'm not saying that they could won the whole thing, but I just think that betting ground is too much of a difference for me can be on only one question. And I thought about it. For one question to get so much, I think it's too much for me at least. So if I looked at the rules and if it's rules in my hand, I would look at that betting ground because I think 6 point swing in either side for whoever is too much, like just too much.
It has killed a few championship matches. I mean, the Lightning Time Shazam one was going pretty well, and then it killed it. So I kind of get it. I also think no risk, no reward. So like if you bet free and you do it, then you've risked it really, and you've been confident enough to do that. Then I think, if you're not as confident in the category, you can just bet 1 or 0. I mean, Murrell bet 0 against Bateman, and if he didn't bet 0, like last season, he wouldn't have won that match. So I think you just, people instinctively feel like they have to go for free, and I think maybe that's more that needs the tweaking. But I do get it. I think it's frustrating when it kills a match because if it's tight throughout and then the betting round just completely swings it, then it kind of ruins it. But I also think that's just part and parcel. There's been times in the past where the betting round has allowed players who are out of the match to come back. I think back to Rachel Cushion, Mike, in the Geekdom Throwdown of a few seasons ago, which Rachel still won, but Mike was able to come back to get it to sudden death when he was really far behind because it was a 6-point swing his way. So I don't dislike it, but in general, I just don't like it when it ruins the matches, which it has done a few times, and I think it kind of killed this one. But Ben, what were your thoughts in general on the match, and what do you think about Matt's point regarding the betting round?
So, not to be too against you, but I disagree. There have been times when someone is losing and that betting round turns the match around completely. So I think it does have its place. And as you've said, Liam, if you're not confident in the answer, you can bet 0, 1, even 2. So I don't think that you have to bet 3, personally. But I mean, look, we saw Parker bet 2 in his match, and he still came out pretty well on that one. So, I mean, that seemed to boost his game there. I don't. If you're going to get rid of the betting round or change the rules on the betting round, you could also make the argument for the 5-point in a 3-round match. That's a big swing for that's a lot weighing on one question.
And what about the actual match, Ben?
The actual match I enjoyed. I liked it. I just got a bit frustrated at the beginning when. Look, I'm someone that sound is very. Yeah, I agree with Thomas there. I sort of feel that sound is very important to me, and if music is very loud, I get very agitable, and I am noise sensitive, and when they made the entrances and I could barely hear Mark Ellis and Christian Harloff talk, it made the music sound even louder because they were sort of, it sounded like the music was too loud for the Christian Harloff thing, and that frustrated me in the beginning. And I think that maybe soured me for the rest of the match, but I enjoyed the match. The match was awesome, and I'm glad that now more people are on the Shazam Goats train. Yay, goats.
Nice. So I guess that wraps up our team's title match. We'll move on to the Star Wars title match. Quite a different match in terms of the actual way this one went. And this did come down to the 5-pointers. I'll let Ben kick us off on this one.
So yes, this was my favorite match of the spectacular. It came down, so round one went pretty much blow for blow. It came down to the last question, which was challenged. I'll ask you about the challenge after we've spoken about the match. It was challenged. Then she lost. Nikki lost challenge. Betting round, they went blow for blow. I think they both bet 3, got the right answer. The buzzer round, I think it went 3 for 2 to
Harper.
To Harper, and then they just went back and forth. Nikki lost by 1 point, which was awesome to see, and I mean they maybe set up a future match between Nikki and Drew in the post-match interview. So hopefully we'll see that soon. Liam?
I think in terms of competitiveness, this was the best match of the night. It wasn't my favorite, but just in terms of gameplay and trivia knowledge, this was the best one. They essentially both went perfect. And obviously, I think we'll get to the challenge. The one Nikki did miss, I just don't think she completely understood the question. Because I know we'll get into a bit more, but I do think it was a fair decision. And I think the challenge was it was worth challenging, but I also think it was the right judgment. They were level going into the buzzer round, which meant someone would have to come out that round on top because there's 5 points on offer. And unless one of them skipped a question, someone was going to end that round on top, and that was the key. And I said before the match, I felt if that was the case, Nikki would have a good chance. But Thomas actually did a lot better on the buzzers than I thought he would do, because Nikki's speed round in the digital final was super impressive. And I thought she might dominate that buzzer round, but it turned out Thomas just got the edge, which was enough to take him over the line at the end. In the end, it did come down to that challenged question because she lost by 1 point. But I also do think had they have been level and she had got the point, I don't think Harper would have dropped a multiple choice on the question he did. I think he knew he had a point to play with. So I think he just took it as a bit of insurance because he wasn't 100% sure, which I think was actually very smart because he knew he could probably pull that back in the speed round if he had to. And if it was better to check down, maybe potentially to lose 1 point than lose 2, which would have been in Star Wars, that would have been it. So a 2-point swing or 4-point swing it would have been. I think he did the right thing. But I think he would have gone for it had he not been a point ahead. So I think in the end, like Thomas just played that slightly bit better than Nikki. But she is a top tier Star Wars player. She could have easily have won that on a day. Essentially, it came down to the speed round, and she just was probably half a second slower than Thomas. So mad respect to Nikki. I do want to see Nikki v Andrew. That would be a great match. And then eventually one day, we should get the Dimalantas v the Damons. We need that to happen. That would also be really cool. But yeah, in terms of, like I said, actual trivia knowledge, this was the best match. Just in terms of accuracy, surely. I don't think anyone else did better than them. But it wasn't my favourite. We'll get to that later. Matt, what about you? What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this is my favorite match of the spectacular. When I look at what Schmoedown should be overall, and I will talk about it later when we do go to one other segment of the show. But yeah, and about this match, I agree with Liam completely. I really think that if he didn't have point to play with, he would go for it, and I think that he would knew it. I think it was just insurance, and I also think it is smart. I don't know what to say. The man went perfect, literally perfect. Every question he was asked. Of course, when you have a speed round, there's things that is harder than in digital to get the whole match perfect, because you should actually buzz in the whole all 5 questions before the other competitor, and that's much harder, I think, than in the fast money to know all the answers. So for me, uh, Harper played perfect. Like, he didn't miss a question, and what to say? Dimi played awesome as well, and she will be the fourth again in the Star Wars division next season. And for the biggest surprise of the season, I really don't know if it's going to be Dimi or King Khan, because both of these players, I don't think that many people thought that they would be drafted. Dimi didn't think that about herself then, and she did great. So it's, for me, it's between King Khan and Dimi for the biggest surprise of the season. And yeah, she played great as well. It was just perfect Harper game, and now it's between him and Griffey for the Rookie of the Year. That's for sure. I will not say anything now. I think that people should decide on themselves. You will hear my opinion probably next week when we do our Euro Schmoe awards. So yeah, but yeah, I have to talk now about that challenge because we all talked about the match. I get why Sam challenged. I knew right away that it wouldn't be upheld. That the challenge will get no void, because I always, when someone challenges, first rewind to the question, and in the question they said commander, so you cannot write commander. It doesn't make sense, and unfortunately, it doesn't make sense to write commander when you have commander in the question. So you cannot say, well, you didn't. It was actually, you could take from the context that they need something more than the commander from the context of the question. So, but I get why Sam did it. As he said, he agrees with the ruling, but in Star Wars you need to fight for every point, and that was his job as a manager. And Harper got that challenge his way, rightfully so. And I don't think that anyone should say, "Oh, he won because of the challenge," because that was valid not to give the point, unfortunately, to Demi, because it is you can understand from the question that they need something more than the commander. So yeah,
I think
Yeah,
I agree exactly with what you said. I don't really have a lot more to add.
Leah actually asked a good question that will lead us into our next topic. How about Kate keeping only Harper and Saul?
okay, so we're
Okay, so
The
we'll
team,
talk
the
about
rest
it
of the
later,
team.
but we
Yeah,
can talk about it now.
we thought that we will talk about it later, but we can talk about it now.
I mean, it
so
did
means we're
happen after the
talking
match,
about-
so we can talk about it now.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. So, as Leo referred to, during Harper's post-match interview, Kate basically said the faction hasn't shown up this year, which is true, apart from Sol and obviously Harper. So she's getting rid of everyone and only keeping them two. Let's be honest. The Den minus Harper and Sol has basically been a disaster this year.
Yeah.
Not through the want of trying. They've been very
Yeah.
unlucky in matches, but her main two guys, which was Paul and Ben, have not come through. That team didn't win a match. Ben and Paul, I believe, didn't win a match. So it makes sense.
Paul won a match, but on his own. But
He beat Powder Kick.
That's right.
I mean, not Powder Kick, but Jet.
But in general, they've had quite a poor season, apart from Harper. Hey Ryan, and
hi.
I think the Den needs a big revamp anyway. I think it's the right thing to do. I would be really, really interested to see who she gets. So she has us. It seems like Christian has confirmed that, but we will also talk about this later. But it seems like it is going to be a 5-player faction from now on, consisting of one Star Wars and then one IG and like potentially a team and another player to do what you want with. So corruption will probably stick with Marisol, Adam, Mike, Chance, because Mike can play 2 leagues, and then they also have a Star Wars who we don't know. It will be my assumption will be they might get Kelly back. Anyway, back to the Den. So they have their Star Wars player, they have their IG player. Who on earth is going to pick the other 3 spots? Do we know? Any thoughts? Who do you think it's going to be?
Okay, I just first want to say I love what they did with Dan. We don't have one constant female heel in the league. It is Grace, but Grace just pops out here and there. We don't have any real heel female competitors and or real heel managers, and I think that Kate will be that, because you can see that, like, just angry Kate, who she doesn't like anyone. I love it. I think that storyline wise, it's a brilliant move. I also agree with Liam that faction needs revamping. So she's having Saul, and she's having Thomas Harper. I'll be honest. I really hope, and I don't know how it will be. I don't know if. Yeah, she's not. She's not a real heel. Sorry, Brian. She's not a real heel. Not in my eyes, at least. She's a tweener with heel tendencies, but yeah. But for me, okay, I will say this. They need. Okay, I don't know if managers will have the autonomy to pick the 5 people on their own, whoever they want, or will league like ask them to pick someone because of the storylines and something, or to be more fair. I don't know, but if league has a say, I'll be honest. I would like that corruption doesn't have Marisol, Collins, Mike, and Chance in the same faction, because with only 5 people, I think that's too strong. To like you have potentially 3 players, because they said that Collins can play IG as well. So you have potentially 3 players who can play 3 different divisions and are probably pretty good in all 3. So I think it's just too strong. So I would actually like if Chance went to Dan. I wouldn't mind it. Like heel Chance with Kate. I don't think that will happen, but I would like it. I also think that she will pick up someone from the exchange, because exchange cannot keep all their players, because they need to keep 5, and they have more than 5 good players with all the great rookies, I think. So I think she will probably pick someone from the from that thing, because I think they will keep Griffey. I think they will keep Barbarian. I think that they will keep Gold Leader. That's for sure. But I don't know who other two will be. So someone will get out, either Lomis or Radis or maybe King Khan, unfortunately, or JTE. So I think that she will pick someone from the Finstock Exchange. I think.
I do think they'll keep Khan. I think they'll keep that King Arthur as a team. I think they just need a new IG.
Yeah. I think some players will be like lone wolves, as we said. I think that Chandra will not have a faction. I think, as we said, that he will probably be
I think Chandra will be picked up by a new manager, aka Jay Washington. That's my theory.
that could be as well. But I would love him as a free agent, just roaming the Schmoedown seas. But I think it's a brilliant move. I must say that both manager and the player played their part perfectly. I love it. I do think that we need more proper heel factions, except the only one heels were actually exchanged that were real heels, because you cannot say to me that corruption is heel faction and they have Marisol in their stable that is one of the biggest baby faces in the whole Schmoedown, if not the biggest right now. So corruption is not a heel faction. So I do think that they will make heel face factions next year. Like that Christian and the league will have input on who will be on what faction, just to make heel and face factions overall.
I think you're right.
Because it will be easier for the storylines, right?
Yeah.
So and as we saw, they will probably focus more on storylines next season. So we'll see. But I think that turning Kate heel with 2 pretty bad seasons behind her, if we are honest, because as you said, if she doesn't have Thomas and Saul, or just if she doesn't have Thomas, she has pretty bad season. So it made sense. I loved it, to be fair. I think it's one of the best moves they did in Spectacular, storyline wise.
Okay, I think we should move on now to the next
we
match.
should move on, right?
So the next match we witnessed was IG title match consisting of Mike the Killer Kalinowski against Robert Parker. Now, this was my favorite match of this Spectacular. I love the fact it was topsy-turvy. So after round 1, it looked like Parker was going to win. And then Mike fought his way back. With round 2 was a real rough round for Parker, actually. And that really turned the game in Mike's favor. And then he caught back up. I just loved the fact it was swinging and swing the roundabouts the whole match until we came to the final round, and we ended up both of them missing their 5 pointers, taking it to. Sorry, no, that's wrong. Am I right? I can't even remember. I watched this very late last night. It's all swinging around in my head.
Yeah, they did know the 5 pointers both.
Mike didn't, right? Mike missed his, but
no, they both missed their 5 pointers. They were tied into the. They both hit their 2, their 3. They both missed their 5, and they went in sudden death.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought as well. Yeah, thank you. Leo has got the nail on the head. The Black Widow question, which Parker didn't think was eligible, which I think we should talk about that, because
you think they should have challenged that then?
I think if he was Parker's type of person that would study these things intensely, if he was told that's not eligible, I do think he should have got another question. personally. And I don't think they heard him out at all. I think they just said it's on our document, so we're asking it. I think it threw him off. I do think it really affected his game. And Mike was never going to miss that question because it was about a Bond film in the Black Widow. So that also really got Mike back in. You know, I think it's fair game to ask that question. Leo, he's just said the movie's been out for 5 months, but Parker was told it's not in the match. I think that needs to be acknowledged. If he was told not to study for it, then is it fair that he got a question about it? I don't know. I think it was harsh, personally. He clearly thought that he would have studied it had he thought it was in the match. Let's be honest. He's that type of player. So I do think it was a little bit harsh. Regardless, the match was really interesting. Like I said, it kept going one way to the other. When it went sudden death, my money would have been on Parker because sudden death is essentially round one again, and Parker had a better round one than Mike. But that Star Wars question came up, and I thought Parker won because I also thought it was Vader, and then it turned out Mike got it right with Emperor, and I was waiting to hear, is it new or is it still? And then we got still, and
I knew it was the Emperor, and I knew it was still, but it was still awesome to get that confirmation.
Yeah.
And I said this earlier for Shazam, and I'll say it again for Mike. I said Shazam winning has now cemented their place as the best team in Schmoedown history. This absolutely now cements Mike's place as the best IG player. There is no questioning that now.
Please.
Go on, Matt.
I'm so happy. This is the match that made me the most happy from the whole spectacular. I believed in this man the whole season in IG. I picked him every single time. You can go back and watch our predictions. I picked Mike every single time, and I'm so happy I picked him this time as well. He deserved it. I will say this: the hardest IG second round I ever seen overall. Those questions in second round for both players were so hard that I was just shocked. I was really shocked when I heard Parker's second round questions. I was just, those are the round two questions. Okay, this will all be multiple choice probably, and it did happen like that. But props to Mike, he did manage to steal a couple of them. So props to him, he deserved that. I will say this. I feel for Parker because of the miscommunication, but if PJ shut it down because he understood it wrongly, as Leo said, then it's not really League's fault. Well, if I get it correctly, but okay, I will just go and say it, guys. Whoever is watching this, when the time comes for the voting of who will be the player of the year, and if we don't vote Mike this year, it's not fair. Like, the man has 3 defenses in IG, won the title from Mara, played in the number 1 contender. He played only top players in IG, and he's undefeated. He's also playing in 3 different divisions. And he, by the way, also won the number 1 contender match in teams, and had the most. And we talked how Shazam is like unstoppable team, and his team is the only one that almost beat Shazam. So all props to Griffey, all props to Marisol for what they did this season, to Harper, to everyone. But if you tell me that Mike doesn't have the best season this season, sorry, I don't agree with you. Because, okay, Marisol did great in one division, and what she did was historic. But the thing is, are we going to take into account that she's the first female singles champion and first African American when we say who is the player of the year? Or are we just going to take into account what you did this season? Because she is like the biggest player this season, because her accomplishment of being the first female champion is the biggest. That's for sure. But Mike has more defenses than her in IG. Mike had better, I think, teams showing than her, and Marisol never played in 3 divisions, and Mike did. That's just my argument. So I will be voting Mike, and I don't think he will win, but I will be voting Mike. So
Just want to quickly say to Matt's point, you know, from the beginning of this show and the start of the year, I've always been rooting for Marisol, and I think Marisol is amazing. But I completely agree with you. Mike should win Player of the Year this year. I watched Speaking of Schmoedown yesterday, and they had they were voting for IG Player of the Year, and a lot of them said Parker, and I said, even if Parker won yesterday, Mike should still win IG, in my opinion. The fact Mike has won that match again, he's done it. He's had a really good season in all 3 leagues. He came the closest, as you said, to beating Shazam. He had a pretty good run in the singles tournament. He done a lot better than I thought he would. He ended up losing against Janine, who beat Murrell in the next round. He should win. He should win. And I love Marisol, but no, it should be Mike. And I think he won't win. So I do agree with you, Matt. Ben?
Look, personally, I think you give Marisol Singles Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Because she is now 7-0.
I think this is fair. This is what Ran said. I think this is fair. I would do it like this.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Marisol is a singles player of the year for sure. I just think that overall Mike was better. Sorry, and I see your comment, Thomas. But I just want to point out that Mike did get to play for the title. Deception never did that. So that's why I think Mike is a little in. But just want to say that what corruption did this season and Finstock Exchange, it shows that they are like the one step in front of everyone, because as we see, we are literally talking of who is going to be the player of the year between 2 corruption players. And that's saying a lot. Like a lot about corruption. So great job for them. So and I was just so happy. The match was awesome. I do think, as Thomas pointed out, that I was surprised that Parker missed what he did in the Palpatine Emperor thing, right? I thought that he would knew it, because I knew that answer, and I'm awful with Star Wars. I am really awful with Star Wars. So, but as we all always know, sometimes you something knows, sometimes you something doesn't know. So I was surprised, and this is the greatest IG match for me of all time. Before it was Mara and Rachel. This is actually for me better. So this is my greatest IG match now. So
I disagree there. I think Chandru Mike is one up there.
Overall, yes. But if I just look at the trivia, this is my favorite. But storyline, everything.
No, I disagree with both of you. I'd say Rachel Mike from Throwdown. I think it was the second time they played. That's still my favorite. But all good choices. All good choices.
Yep. All good choices and all great matches, I would say.
Ben, have you given your thoughts yet about this match?
I have not. I will say, when I heard the last question, I was racking my brain trying to think, was it the good guy or the bad guy? And then I thought, no, it was not Yoda, and it was not Obi-Wan that said that. So it has to be either Vader or Palpatine. And my first thought was Palpatine meeting Vader in the meeting room. That is what happened. It was the Emperor for me, and I knew it, which was surprising because I don't often get things right. But yes, I thoroughly enjoyed this match. I loved. Look, I wonder if they challenged the question, if they could have gotten a separate question asked to them. I think maybe if Kaiser challenged, we could have had a separate question rather than the Black Widow question. But you definitely saw it throw him off his game, and he just went multiple choice, multiple choice, multiple choice, and it really gave Mike the edge in this one. Not taking away from Mike, because he played fantastic, and he really came back from a 3-point deficit. You can't do that if you aren't the IG goat. So yeah, as you know, I would give him Player of the Year. Marisol, maybe the Singles Player of the Year, and between Griffey and Harper, the Rookie Player of the Year. That would be my options there.
I think I'd agree, and we are going to do an award show, the Euroschmo award show, next week. So that's right, guys. Next week we're doing that.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll vote on all these things that we've been discussing. I'm thinking we may ballot it, and then so we won't know until the show. That might be a good way of doing it. But anyway, we're going to move on now to the penultimate match, which we have John Roker's finale, his final ever match, unless he comes out of retirement, which wouldn't shock me. But for the time being, his final ever match against Dan Murrell. Okay, I've got some thoughts on this. I'm going to just be brutally honest, and I'm sorry if I offend. I'm not even okay. For me,
We're not even sorry, right?
the match was completely redundant. Like, it didn't matter what happened. And if I'm being honest, the actual match was a little bit disappointing. I think Roker would have liked to have not gone out on a TKO loss, but it is what it is. It didn't matter. What was the highlight of this match was obviously the aftermath of the match. And that was emotional. And I have to say, like, the match just didn't matter. It was just an excuse to give Roker a moment, which he fully deserves. Roker is the one that really got me invested into Schmoedown. So I owe a lot of my Schmoedown enjoyment to that man. He has put so much energy and heart into this league, and he's the first one, as Dan said, and I'm not going to say it better than him. He is the first one who knew how to do a character. All the belts. I remember that. That was my draw into Schmoedown, and he fully deserved this moment. Seeing him get emotional did get me emotional. And like I said, the actual match doesn't matter. It was just about the interviews after and his speech. I do kind of think I'm a bit iffy about Murrell giving him the belt. It's a lovely sentiment, but I'm also like, what was the point of playing the match? Like, honestly, what was the point of doing that match if you're just going to give it to him anyway? Like, I think even Roker was like, no, but he wasn't. That's who Dan Murrell is. He kind of wouldn't have won no matter what had happened, because it was Roker's match, as it should have been. But I do want to just say, like, John Roker, you are the person who probably got me into this league, like into the Schmoedown more than anyone else. Like, I loved Clark Wolf as well, but you are the one that kind of made me understand what this league is, and you fully deserved that moment, and you fully deserved your rest. So, like I said, the match didn't matter. Was it a very good match? Not really. I've got to be honest. Like, of course, in Roker style, he misses out on a answer by like one word. We couldn't have a Roker finale without something like that. I think back to Lena Headey and Lena Headley, and whose previous incidents of this happened. Jane Fonda, that we love these. Broker loves these moments, but um, it served the purpose of giving him his moment, and that's what we wanted. That was what a special moment, and yeah, probably one of the highlights of the whole night was and Jen absolutely killed the interviews as well, the whole show, but in particular, she gave like Roka the opportunity to really speak, and it was lovely. But Ben, what did you think?
I honestly, from a trivia point of view, it wasn't the best match. From a storyline point of view, it was a fantastic match. Personally, like it was the end bit, Merle giving John the belt was it was the final kind of emotional moment that it needed, and I kind of loved that hug that they had, and I almost went, "Shut up, Christian!" When you in that moment, I wanted them to have that moment more. When Christian went, "Thank you, Roka," and I was like, "No, let them have their moment." But yeah, I get it, and he deserved the chance for sure. I loved it. But we got to see Emma Fife again as well as Thomas pointed out. Matt, what did you think of the match?
Yeah, about the match, I do agree with Liam, so I don't really have much to add about that. But I just want to say, for someone who watched wrestling really constantly when I was younger, uh, Roka really did went out as a proper wrestling uh, wrestling star. He put his he left his head in the ring, so to
Mm,
say. That's why Jen got emotional because she understood it because she's also in the wrestling world. And he went out on his back. That's how wrestlers
mm,
go out. Wrestlers when they retire doesn't get they don't get happy ending. They uh, they lose. That's the proper way to go out in a wrestling ring, on your back,
yeah,
helping get someone else over. Usually that's some younger wrestler. In this situation, it was Dan Merle, but it was poetic in that sense. I do agree that trivia wise, it could be a better match, but it didn't. I thought it would be 5 rounds,
it was
right?
5 rounds.
It was right. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
5 rounds. I first thought it would be three, then five, then three, then again five. So it was five. That's why as Liam said, it was pretty late for us when we watched the spectacular. So yeah, and because we watched it live, me and Liam watched it actually live. So yeah, and the speech, it was perfect. It was the best like Schmoedown related moment of the spectacular.
mm,
Uh, we will go to the final moment. That's just best human moment because of what happened with that person. But like if
yeah,
I look at the just Schmoedown moment, that was the best moment. Like as Liam said, from season three, that man was with us, and I really don't want to see Roca back as a competitor, at least not next season. I wouldn't mind him on the desk or as a manager, but when you leave your boots in the ring, uh, it is like proper to get to stay retired for at least the whole season
yeah,
next year as a player to be
yeah.
quite clear
What do
as
you
a
think he'll
player.
do
Matt,
next?
Well, I think that he first needs to get his channel in order. I think that is one of the reasons why he left. But I wouldn't mind if he's become the commissioner, for example.
Mm.
I know that who is the commissioner now?
Clark.
Clark. Like she wasn't really in the league that much, and they're coming back to the live things, so it should be someone from the LA, and I would love, and it would be really nice if it's Roca who indebted Schmoedown so much. I think he would be a perfect commissioner and for the storylines as well, because he could play over anyone, over Christian, over he can play his character with the players, with the Christian, with the Chandrus, and like that. So I would put him in that place because I don't think he's ready to be a manager with his personal stuff yet. So keep him in Schmoedown as a commissioner. That's a little smaller role I think, than the manager, and help build the Schmoedown behind the scenes. And it was just emotionally beautiful. Uh, it was great. I really think that Dan should have kept the belt and just be like say what he said and then keep the belt because yeah. But I get the gesture, as Liam said. That's who Dan is, and yeah, it
So
was great.
there's one question that I wanted to ask you, Matt. Do you see kind of airs of Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels in this match?
No, no, because Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair, as we all know, okay, this is the wrestling part of the show. Uh, yeah, okay. So, no, because Ric Flair was the, as we all know, the older wrestler that Shawn Michaels looked up to when he
Hmm.
was coming up. So it would be like if King Khan or Griffin Newman or I don't know, Collins, or like someone who came from the rookie leagues, for example, had his last match with Roca, and then if he
Hmm.
beat him, then for me it would be that kind of match. For me, it was more like Undertaker Brock Lesnar match when the
Yeah,
streak was broken. That was my vibe. Okay, that is my, yeah.
yeah,
And
that's
Ben,
fair.
your thoughts on this
Um,
match?
yeah, I've given my
We all
thoughts.
said the thoughts.
We
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
sorry.
probably move on.
I'm still recovering from a late night of watching it
yeah.
yesterday. I'm
That's
barely with it today,
perfectly
guys.
fine.
I'm sorry.
That's
um,
perfectly fine. On this match, don't ask me for my thoughts because I haven't watched it yet. Sorry, I haven't had the time. It was my grandmother's birthday celebration today, and I didn't have the time to watch it.
no worries, Ben. Matt, you kick us off on this one then.
Yeah, the only match I missed in my predictions. I'll start with this.
Yes.
Uh,
Sorry.
Marisol is the singles player of the year for sure. She gets my vote. Uh, she deserved the win. She played strategically better than Griffey, I think, a little, and she also knew more than Griffey. So it wasn't like Griffey beat himself or something like that, or uh, something like that, or just the big swing in the betting round or something. Griffey just missed the one of the second round questions, and Marisol knew that question. So would I love if we had first rookie of the year, player of the year, and the like double belted champion? I would love that. I think that would be pretty awesome. But Marisol deserve it.
Mm.
To be fair, the main reason I rooted for Griffey because with the record that Exchange had, so many wins, I thought that they deserved to win the faction race because they are the faction of the year, as Finstock said. Maybe Finstock is not manager of the year, but Finstock Exchange for sure is the for me faction of the year because just look at our first show. three of us said that corruption will win the faction race. No one said that exchange will do anything great, and they are second, and that barely second, with one match difference. So I really wanted
Wait,
Griffey
are
to
they
win
second?
because, yeah, they're second. Yeah.
Okay.
So Marisol deserved it, and in the end, corruption deserved the faction championship because they beat the main guy from exchange in the end, and it was a great match. It was that one question in second round difference, I think, because I think that Marisol would knew her five. I just had that feeling that even if she needed to answer that five, she would. I like the difficulties of the question in the round number one. I like that they didn't get the perfect rounds, both of them. Like, it was funny how they literally had the same answers almost every time. So that was pretty funny. It was a great match. I still think that Murphy is my favorite rookie, as I said from the beginning. But Maisel just deserves that singles players of the year for sure, and she was the better woman uh, in this match. So all props to her. Great moment in the end with her and Mike staying the champions and celebrating together, and the whole faction. So yeah,
Okay, so
And we didn't have a single belt change. I just wanted to say that.
no, I know that's the first ever time in a spectacular that everyone retained their belts, so that's worth mentioning. Yeah, as I said, I going into this season predicted big things for Marisol. I'd said in one of our very first shows that I think she is a player to watch, and she's my favourite player right now in the Schmoedown. I'm so pleased for her with what she's achieved, and Griffey looked unstoppable, yet Marisol stopped him. And what's really interesting is every title match she's had, she hasn't had to go to the 5-pointer. She didn't have to do it against Ethan. She didn't have to do it against Chance, and now she hasn't had to do it against Griffey. She's been able to get to a position where she's been able to win on the free every time, and she's done it, which I think is just an interesting note. I still think she could do it on a 5, but she hasn't had to yet. I want to go back to what Leo said. It was all pretty even until I think Griffey just didn't. He went too quickly and didn't think, and that is where being a rookie played into the match. He was a bit overconfident. He didn't take his time with it, and he jumped in with the question and got it wrong. And then that's a 4-point swing, and that basically kept it in Marisol's favour for the rest of the match. Also, just to pick up on what Keith said, there was a few times in that speed round where I felt like Griffey, I don't know, he may not have known, and if he didn't, he didn't know, but there was 2 questions where they left it for a long pause. One of them they just neither answered, fair enough, but the other one he could have guessed, and then he could have brought it within a closer range, but he decided to just leave. And Marisol went for it and got it right. So she deserves credit for taking that risk. I can't remember the exact question. I know the answer was 3. As I said, I watched this very late last night. I think by this point it was about 2 a.m. in the UK. I'm a very tired guy today. So I can just about remember this match. I'm really pleased for Marisol, and yes, I think she's going to retain it one more time. That's my prediction, and then I think someone else is going to come in.
Yeah,
but I think she's got one more in her.
Yeah, I think that it will probably be if the history is going to repeat, it's going to be probably Bibbs versus Barbarian for the number 1 contender. Because most of the times they took like 2 players who, if the challenger loses, they took two players who were in the finals of the tournament who didn't win. like one player who won and then one player who lost to the challenger, and they put them against each other to play for
the two semi-finals losers, or
yeah
yeah.
yeah. So I think it's going to be Bibbs versus Barbarian on for who is going to challenge Marisol next, and yeah, that's hard. Whoever wins that, it Marisol's show that she can beat anyone, but whoever is her challenger next between those two, it will be hard.
Just remind me, who was the other semi-finalist? Was it Janine?
Janine the
Barbarian
Machine.
Janine, but Barbarian beat Janine, and he didn't get to play in the spectacular, so he'll probably be one.
So, my guess is it will be like Janine will play Barbarian or Bibbs, and then they'll have Griffey play the other one, and then that will be a bracket to get to the title.
Then it will probably be Griffey. It should be then Griffey versus Janine, and Bibbs versus Barbarian. If I'm looking at because Griffey is the number one, and Janine is probably fourth in that occasion.
Yeah,
and because Barbarian already beat her, Barbarian is 2, so it should be probably 1 and 4 and 2 and 3. So yeah.
So what they did in the Star Wars tournament is they took the loser of the finals last year. The loser of the finals got a number one contenders match, no matter what, and then the two semi-finalists that lost in the semi-final.
Yeah, that's what Leo said. Actually,
and then
that's what Leo said. That could happen as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I also think she could defend, but the singles wise, this is her season, and this is just show also how Janine is good as well, because Janine lost to her by her own tuition, unfortunately, because she missed the question. I think if she knew the 5-pointer, she would won that match. I think I'm not sure, but it just shows how the females have grown in this league to the really big threats with their studying and education. So that's great for the Schmoedown.
Okay, so that wraps it up for the matches of the spectacular, and then we're gonna talk about for me, probably the moment of spectacular. And I will say, as I said, by this point of the night, we've just finished all the matches when this happened. It must have been 2 a.m. in the morning. I'm starting to drift. I'm still enjoying myself, but it's very early in the morning. I suddenly was wide awake. Like, I was like, oh my God, he's back. He's back. So I say Chandru comes onto stage giving his Chandru-isms, being the best heel in a Schmoedown, which we have at the moment. And you have to give him credit for his work. He did really well. And then we see on the screen Smasher, or was it Smash, comes up, and then the music starts playing, and then he's back. He's back. Kevin Smets comes up to stage. I think the biggest round of applause and biggest standing ovation of the night. And I have to say, his speech, wow, it was fantastic. It was really powerful. I found myself really moved by it. Even though he said it was part of his character and he was obviously talking as Kevin Smasher Smets, we know what he's been through this year, and we knew what he was referring to. It was really moving, really powerful, and I'm so pleased he's back in the league. So pleased. That was incredible. And for me, I think we're going to say later what our favorite moments were, but I'm just playing it out. It was my favorite moment of the whole thing. Like, I was starting to drift to sleep because it was very early in the morning, but that woke me wide awake, and I felt so emotional. I part of my role, I'm a therapist. I support cancer patients, and like, just to see him come back and I'm so pleased for him. I'm just pleased he gets this opportunity to come back, and it looks like we're getting Chandru Smets, which is going to be a great season opener whenever that takes place. Oh, what a moment. I just feel giddy and excited about it, and So good to have him
Yeah.
back. So good.
And I think that
Absolutely.
if we had a pair preview, and we have what I think could happen actually now, that we have Chandru Smats as a co-main event, and then we have Marisol Oyama as a main event, because don't forget, Oyama needs to cash in. So I think next challenger actually for Marisol is probably going to be Oyama. Uh, he needs to
Mm.
cash in his free for all win. So
I think it'll be
it,
teams. I
Yeah,
think he's going to do it in
before
teams,
April.
though.
I wouldn't.
Mm.
Okay, I if I'm him, I wouldn't.
Fair
Uh,
enough.
but yeah, we'll see. For me, this moment when Smats came out, I'll come to the all the emotional life stuff that happened to him. Why is this big? We all know why is this big. But first, I just want to talk about whoever made his music uh, and his walkout. You can see that that man is a fan of wrestling. I didn't feel the wrestling vibe, real of wrestling vibes in Schmoedown since the corruption tournament days, since the Ted the commissioner and Christian is kicked out of his own thing. That was the last I felt like I'm watching trivia wrestling. When I saw the entrance of Kevin Smets, and when I heard his half work promo, half real life promo, I just went, "Oh, we are back at wrestling trivia. I love it." It takes me back. I think it's what, fifth season. Is it fifth season when all the corruption thing happened?
I think so.
Yeah, it takes me back straight to the fifth season.
That was the fourth
Uh,
season.
that was the fourth. Okay, fourth season. That is my favorite season of all time. With the corruption angle is still my favorite angle in Schmoedown. So yeah, I think it's brilliant. His From his walkout to his promo, it was really emotional to everyone who really is in the community, because when he said "and it's gone," we know what that meant. He actually, as we said, smashed cancer, and that's probably bigger than anything that he will probably did in his life, not including if he gets another child. But that's probably his biggest accomplishment, like in life. For me, it would be, if I'm honest, because as he said, his opponent was life, and he actually came out on top. So yeah,
Well put, Matt.
so I just think it was brilliant. It was great. It was worthy of spectacular reveal.
Yeah.
So, and I really didn't expect Smets to come back this quickly. Really props to him. I
Mm.
really didn't think. I think at least one more season that it would take, because I hoped that he would beat it in a year. But even if he beats cancer, which he did, and that's awesome, I thought that he would need at least a year to get in his groove and his normal routine and stuff like that. So it showed what a big man that person is, that Kevin is, and yeah, it was a brilliant surprise, really emotional, a great wrestling aspect in it as well. So props to the whole crew there, and props to Chandru, who actually
Yes.
made a perfect setup for him to do that.
Yes. I'm glad. I
So
was about to say that. I'm pleased you've mentioned that. We need to give credit to
I
Chandra as
yeah,
well.
we need to get credit to Chandru. I get that it's Kevin's moment, and it should be Kevin's moment. Just to give a little credit to Chandru, who did perfectly.
Yes.
And yeah,
And then what did
that's
you
it.
think?
I haven't actually seen this moment yet, so
No,
I
of course
can't
you haven't. Sorry.
say. Yeah,
Talk about it
sorry.
next week then
Just
when we're
to
back.
just to answer Thomas's question, it was 4 a.m. for me, so I did not watch because I
I
had
think
to
that's
be up early
understandable.
for church and then to celebrate my grandmother's birthday, so I wasn't going to stay awake
Yeah,
the whole night.
that's
Just
fair.
before we move on, Ben, just before we move on, I know you haven't watched it, but Matt, you have. So just before once Kevin had finished his speech, there was a little bit of a moment in terms of Parker being ignored by
Yeah.
both um,
Uh,
by both Smets and Kaiser. Do we think
yeah.
this means that Parker will be leaving?
Wait, I'm okay. This is what could happen, and this is Ryan's take. And I didn't think about it, but when I read it, I thought that this could actually happen, and here it is. I could see
Oh
Parker
yeah,
going to Finstock.
It makes a
Uh,
lot of sense, actually. It makes a lot of
yeah,
sense. The one area they are probably lacking most is IG,
yeah.
and obviously they have an
So
abundance of IG in the dungeon, with
yeah, and
Mara
I
and
think that
Smet.
Dan and Mara will also go to the different faction because you cannot have Smets and Mara in the same faction. I
yeah.
hope you don't have it because it'll be the same as this year when you had Parker and Mara, and then you have and okay, we like
I wonder
Marisol
if you
is a,
we won't.
and the
Sorry.
thing is, this is for sure the biggest money maker right now for Schmoedown will be Smets. I think that people will show up for Smets to see Smets to watch Smets. I think he will be the main face, like the angry face, like Goldberg was,
Hmm,
like angry face. That is what Smets is, but he will probably be the biggest face in Schmoedown next season. So I wouldn't want to see Mara and Smets in the same faction because it makes sense that you push Smets to have more matches. Uh,
Mm.
so yeah, so I think that Dan and Mara, because I think that they want to be in the same faction. I think that they
yeah.
could move on uh, to some other faction.
So do you
Yeah,
think they could go to Adam Witt then, if Adam Witt has a separate faction?
yeah. If
Oh,
they do
that's a
that,
good
that would
call,
be.
Ben. That's a
Eh,
good
and
call.
then if that happens, then Parker will probably go with Witt. If they give Witt his faction, Parker will probably go with Witt.
Mm.
You don't think
No, no,
Mara
no,
and
no,
and
no.
Dan?
Mara and Dan will. Yeah,
And I think
Mara and
Parker's
Dan.
going exchange now. I think Ryan's got it right, and
Yeah.
I think that's a good shout, Ben. I really like that suggestion.
Yeah,
Um,
it is. It was brilliant. I also did saw that when Parker was just trying to hug and he was just like ignored. Uh, so I saw
I,
that.
I don't
So
I don't want to take away too much from this, but we didn't touch on it, and Brian Nussbaum did say it was his moment of the year, the
yeah,
Wild Berries
I was
reunion.
trying to talk about that when we go to our reboot segment
mm,
because it's part of the reboot. So
Yeah,
yeah, I just to finish this, Parker has to go, Mara has to go if Smets is in the dungeon, in my opinion.
yeah.
yes,
So
I agree with you. I agree with you. You can't have
yeah,
it. You don't want a
and
repeat of last year.
I just want to shout out something. I know that people are saying that like Marisol is probably the biggest baby face of the season, but I think that biggest baby face of the season is actually Dimi.
Mm,
Uh,
Okay.
the reaction she got was the loudest reaction I think in the spectacular after thank you Roca when Roca retired, but and when Kevin Smets came back, but that's not fair because those are really special moments. Like, but she got I think the biggest pop of all the let's say regular competitors in this event. So I just want to say I think that it's between Nikki and Marisol on who is the biggest babyface right now in the Schmoedown
mm.
this season. and that's awesome that two females is actually fighting for the top spot of the faces in the Schmoedown.
Nice.
So
Okay,
shall we move on?
Yeah, let's move on. So,
Yeah.
sorry, Ben. So we're gonna now talk about who we believe was the MVP of the spectacular. So who do we think was the best player? I want Ben to kick us off.
I'm gonna say our player of the year, Mike the Killer Kalinowski. I think him winning that kind of made the faction race a bit more interesting. Made the faction championship a bit more fun, because then it put 1 point between Griffey and Marisol, and it added extra stakes to that match. That would be my pick.
Nice.
Matt?
Mine is Harper. This is why I think Harper is the only choice for MVP, to be fair. He didn't miss a question. That's the first point. Also, he cut two promos for the Schmoedown. First, when he came and hinted that it could be problems, when he wasn't really happy with the guys in the audience, and when he made them pledge allegiance to the Den, like that, and then that was before the match, so he had to prepare something before the match that could take his focus off the match, to be fair. Then he played perfect, and then after it he cut another promo to help Schmoedown set up for next season. So I don't see anyone else. Please, if I just think that if he's the only one that went perfect this spectacular, that it's obvious that he should be the MVP, and he also cut two beautiful promos for the Schmoedown before and after the match. So this is my reasoning why I think he's the best.
Okay,
and then
I think that's a fair argument. I will say my rebuttal to that. Hey Luke, or Galaxy Geeks, I'm assuming it's Luke. My rebuttal to that would be Star Wars is a different league, and I'm not taking away from like Harper going perfect. That's incredible, like amazing. But that happens a lot more often in Star Wars than any other league, which is I just think that's worth bearing in mind. My MVP of this night goes to Marisol, because I really didn't think Griffin would be stopped, and he's gone on a tremendous run in singles. He's gone through the tournament, and she ended up winning almost convincingly, which was really impressive. So I just think she deserves that title, because I felt like Griffin, the form he's been in this year, it seemed like an almost impossible task, but she did it, and she did it really well. So her experience won her that match, I think, and she's getting more comfortable with as holding that singles title. So I give it to Marisol. I will say I was going to cheat a little bit, and my other suggestion would have been Jen. If we can count that as MVP of Spectacular.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, I'm still going to Marisol, but hey Luke, I'm going to just say I think Jen deserves a mention, because her interviews the whole night were brilliant, particularly the one with Roker, her back and forth with Finstock as ever, just letting him talk. Sometimes I just don't like. It's difficult to not laugh. And she just held the room.
Even
so
the one with
well.
Demi was fantastic.
Yeah, the one
where
with
she
Demi
told Demi,
that was my highlight.
Like, yeah.
I just think Jen deserves a massive, such a big mention. She was all night. The interviews were great, and I'm so pleased that she's like well enough to be able to still be a part of the Schmoedown. I know she had a bit of a scare earlier in the year, so I just wanted to shout her out as well. And if I gave it to Marisol, but she would have been a very, very close runner-up for me. Okay, we're going to move on. So we're going to think about all the spectaculars now and where we rank this one compared to some of the others. Now, we had an honest discussion about this off air before we came on, and I think we're just going to relay some of those thoughts now. So I'll kick us off on this one. I'll say I enjoyed this spectacular. I did. It was a good one. I enjoyed most of the matches. For me, it's probably middle of the road to lower.
Okay.
I think there's been better spectaculars in the past, and if I'm being completely honest, I felt like Collision earlier in the year was better. I felt the free for all was better, and I felt we had pay-per-views which were better, which is fine. Doesn't mean the spectacular doesn't have to be the best thing of the year, but I think that's what they aim for. And this is just my opinion. I think back to spectaculars past, there was a lot more emphasis on storylines, and I really thought we were going to get a lot more insight into next year. We had a lot set up during the year, which seems to have gone nowhere, and it may pay off next season. But I don't know. I feel like next season there's going to be a lot more emphasis on storylines, but there was nothing on the Illuminati. That's gone missing. We didn't see Grace, and I know there might be scheduling and things like that, but I mean, apparently Paul Oyama was there. We got no update on his free-for-all card. Emma Fyfe was in the building. I messaged Matt and I was so excited. I was like, oh, there's no way they've just brought Emma back just to give the belt. And then that was all they brought back. Turned out it was. And I was like, oh, okay. I was convinced she was going to. Maybe it was just my own expectations which let me down, because I thought we were going to see Emma back, like not even just as back as a manager or some role in a Schmoedown. I thought we would get a lot more storyline, and I feel like we only really got a very small little bits here and there. And Christian had said there's got to be something spectacular that blows you away. And although the Smets moment was amazing, and I'm not taking away, I still thought there might have been something else. And I think probably my own expectations of expecting storyline maybe let me down a little bit, because I really was expecting a big announcement, or at least some more insight into some of the storylines going into next year. Okay, Ryan, what you've said, that's exactly it. You put the nail on the head. It lacked that one wow moment. I think you're right. I think Smets came close, and it was a great moment, but it wasn't quite like the overall big thing of spectacular which we're expecting. I think back to when Christian revealed he was pulling the strings all along after the manager bowl, or
that's the best spectacular.
Yeah, that's my favorite as well. Things like that.
In the end of the fourth season.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes, and it just lacked that one sort of killer moment where like a big reveal or something. And as I said, Smets' moment was brilliant, and I'm not taking anything away from that, but I just thought there might be something else. And the other moments we got were Wild Berries, which maybe we'll discuss this afterwards, but I'm personally, it didn't excite me that much. I have to be honest.
No.
Okay, I'll say this. For me, the best spectacular was, I think that was, 3 or 2, when the corruption reveal happened, end of the corruption season. That was 3. So for me, the best is 3. Then it's probably 5. I loved the last year's spectacular.
Yeah.
With the end that Dan and Roca breaking up, and the matches were amazing, just brilliant for me. So yeah. And I agree with Ryan. Once again, and he's exchange fan as me, so I think we should be on some show together just to annoy other people, but fine. And yeah, I it was also what Liam said in the middle, like maybe trending to the lower part of the middle, as Liam said. It was great. I truly enjoyed it. I wouldn't stay up until 3 in the morning if I didn't enjoy the show.
Mm.
I think that's obvious because I could watch it today if I didn't enjoy it. It was brilliantly, and it's hard to do it with America and all the world being open a little bit. But I also like that one wow moment, storyline wise, not the reveal wise. We got the reveal. Reveal is the Smets coming back, but I
Mm.
expected a little more from the storyline aspect because Christian did say that storylines will be included in the spectacular a lot. So I thought we were going to see Shmominati resolved, or just one other big hint for the next season. Uh, so I maybe like that, and I just cannot wait to go to the final thing that we need because I just want to hear Liam first disagree with Luke.
Yeah.
So Luke, please listen to Liam carefully so you can talk to him later.
So
Before we
can
get
I
to that,
give my
Ben, what are
views
your thoughts?
on yeah.
Yeah, go for
So
it.
Sorry, Ben.
uh I've only seen uh 1, 2, 3, and 6, and sorry, 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6, right? So for me, it would be 5 because of all the Schmoeminati stuff, the amazing matches, the Dan Roker storyline, all of that stuff. And that was in digital.
Digital.
So for me, I can't understand why a lot of the storylines weren't either resolved or carried on to next year. Maybe have something. Just have a short little clip of Andrew Guy in the parking lot looking at Grace. A lot of it was frustrating for me, and I get that scheduling might have stopped that, and I understand that. But you could have done short little clips like you did for Collision and Free for All, and we had that during digital. So why couldn't we do that in live? Just some maybe unfair comments from my side, but yeah, that's why 5 ranks higher than 6 for me. 1 was special, but maybe more towards the bottom. 2 was awesome, but 3 is the highest of all. 3, 5, then um,
For
then 4, then no, I wouldn't put 4 because I haven't watched 4 yet. But I'd say 3, 5, 3, 5, 2, 1, and then 6 and 1 kind of interchange for me.
okay,
Fair enough.
and now
Um,
for the last.
Yes, so Galaxy Geeks, Luke, you referred to this earlier. In terms of, you said you love the idea of next season being called Reboot. I've got some thoughts. Okay, I hate the name. I'm sorry, I hate it. I think the name's terrible. I think the concept of rebooting it, I don't mind that at all. But I just think this year, war, it's exciting. Like, God, help me out, guys. What were the other names, please? What of other
New
years?
era.
Right,
7 was
era.
new era.
We had
Yeah.
that already.
You know what I mean? I just think those names, like, they grip you, they excite you.
Okay.
Reboot. Maybe it's just me. I just don't get it.
Okay, Liam, this is me. I don't hate the name. I thought it could be more exciting, that's for sure. But I wouldn't I don't know. For me, I would call it a rewind if it's me. Uh, I would call it a rewind because we are going back to the live age of Schmoedown with the entrances and everything else. But I re- v- yeah, it's not about the name. I really hope they made the Schmoedown what it was in season 4. Like
Mm.
great matches, fair matches, but everything is tied in with the storyline. Because I thought to myself, I get more invested when there is every match is has something to do with the story than when it's not. And they can do it now. Uh, that every match has a story. Because the whole Inner Geekdom tournament was one big story. Then the whole teams tournament was one big story. Like the matches were part of the story, but matches were fair. Like,
I will say, like, I don't dislike the concept. I think I quite like the idea of them going back to a bit more story because I think that's what really worked in some of the seasons past. I just think the name is terrible, and that's just my opinion. I just don't like the name. It might grow on me. It might grow on me. I just think like reboot. I don't.
You know why?
I don't know what it is.
Because
guys.
all movie reboots are terrible, and that's why.
I'd say most, not all, most.
I know, I'm just teasing.
I don't know. I was, like the big reveal happened and the graphics looked incredible, by the way. Like props to whoever did that. And it was like going through all the past, like big moments in Schmoedown. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. What is this going to be? Reboot. I was like, oh, is that it?
rewind. In that situation, rewind will be better, right?
I like rewind more. I do, but again, it might grow on me. I just felt like that promo was really awesome. I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like they're going through all the history, really really enjoying this. Like, what's it gonna be? Oh my god, what's the name? What's the name? Reboot. that's how it did for me. I don't know. It's just the name. It doesn't matter, but it just didn't
I'll go
bounce.
through the comments of our fans. So Ryan said that he thinks maybe players will come back. I really don't think so. Because
I don't think
if that happens, like Rachel and Sam is getting married, I think in 2022. So they probably don't have time. A lot of people moved from LA because of the situation with closings and they couldn't support themselves in LA. So a lot of people moved. So they're not anymore in LA. So I don't know how many of the old players are going to see.
Hey Taco.
I am really agreeing with Taco here because I really hope we see, as I said, matches that is every match has something to do with the storyline, like one big storyline through whole season. Because every match they made in season 4 was almost had something to do with the Todd pulling and Mike pulling his strings and stuff like that. So it was brilliant. And it was brilliant that we will have players who are not part of the factions, like Wildberries, as someone saying that Wildberries reunion are their favorite moment. I think Brian said that.
I have thoughts.
Yeah, I do think that that's good and okay. I just think that if we are going to have the smaller league, what will happen to the players who maybe don't get in but had better records and have more knowledge than players who are fun? But we'll see how the season will look. So I don't want to say anything bad or anything because I don't know how the season will go.
I just wanted to highlight that comment because I like the way Ryan's put it, and it is selling me more now on the name.
Yeah, and what Luke said this is his point, that he does feel that season was a little bit messy, so the reboot is needed. So,
I agree. I just don't like the name.
yeah, I get it. So, what do you think, Ben?
I don't mind the name. I, I felt it was a bit anticlimactic, but other than that, I don't mind it. I had more qualms than the name. I'm a bit concerned about things, but I won't get into it. But yeah, I am excited for next season. I really want to see where they go. I kind of hope that they at least either touch on or close off the Schmoe stuff next year. I just need a resolution.
Yeah, I think the one thing we just need to talk about, which we haven't mentioned yet, which is part of the reboot, obviously, wild berries are back.
Mm.
I'm gonna get hate for this. I wasn't that excited. I'm really sorry. I like Josh McCougar a lot. I think he's got great energy. I think my worry is, what does this mean in terms, and Ben, you alluded to this earlier, like, what does this mean in terms of like the actual competitors? Like, I'm just aware that so many competitors are going to have to drop to FCL. They've got limited, they're going to do less matches, there's limited spaces. And like, I just feel, how are they even going to get matches in? Like, it might work out well, but I just think Wild Berries might get a match against Real Rejects or something, like really fun personalities. They'll get those matches and they'll win. And then they have to play Deception. They have to play Shazam. Like, they're just not going to win it, are they? Like, let's be realistic. Like, they may do, but it's highly unlikely. So I think those personalities have a place in the Schmoedown, but I don't know if they have a place as a competitor. Like, they could be great on to do like warm up the crowds during live events, or have Josh bring on the wheel and do some wild berry stunts like in between rounds while they're setting things up. I still think there's places for them. I just don't feel amazing that people will lose their spots because wild berries and the flirt and flouse, which I love that character. I just don't think they should be taking the spots of people who, you know, work, like train constantly and work really hard. Like, I think it's putting less emphasis on the trivia and more on the story, which I think is, they need to do that to an extent, but I just feel it's a bit unfair on some people who may have to drop down to the FCL. But I don't know. I'm just being brutally honest. I don't know what you guys think about it.
You know me, I completely agree. So,
for me, it was the what we talked when we talked about the flirt and flouse coming back to the league. The same thing that you said. I get it. I think that Wildberries t-shirts are the most actually sellable merchandise that Schmoedown has. Buy t-shirts on TeePublic,
sorry,
right?
I love
And I get it.
Slovakia.
They are like they are actually merchant machine. But as you said, some competitors really put time in and study, and as Christian said himself and all other competitors, people really sacrifice for that. And then to lose your spot because someone is fun, yeah, I don't know, is that fair? So I don't know. I'm not going to say anything because we don't know how the season will look.
Yes, yeah, that's fair.
I hope, and this is my prediction. I would love it that happens. So we don't see like wild berries and people like that in the regular season, but maybe co-main event is the, as you said, real rejects versus wild berries, and the match doesn't have standing in the overall standings. It's just like known people who are fun for crowds to get them excited for the main event. That would be perfect for me. Like, you can have flirt and false versus I don't know who, but someone who is also fun and like him co-main eventing. I don't know, co-main eventing Shazam Danger Zone, for example. Like, that would be fun.
I think we just need, like, I agree with you. We need to see what happens with it. I just it doesn't sit particularly well because I think it's getting farther away from the trivia, and
Yeah.
and that might just be me. Like, I just think the trivia should be the highlight of the Schmoedown and not
So
stuff around
my
it. But
problem is something that I don't know if we mentioned on air or off air, and it's something that Matt alluded to as well, is if someone, let's say, faces a Wildberries team, that then goes to on their record, right? Because obviously we know Wildberries aren't the best team, trivia wise. So they then, let's say, they then have to face 2 other teams to get to a championship match, where they would usually have to face 3 competent teams or good teams. Sorry, not good teams. They now have to face 1 Wildberry and 2 good teams. I don't want to see the Wildberries have a standing on who gets to the championship for me. That's just my opinion.
yeah.
I'm sorry if that's controversial, but that's just my opinion. I don't want to see that.
I think we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But it
Yeah,
does
I'm
worry
sure it'll
me.
play out fine.
I'm with you, Ben.
Yeah.
I feel like we are almost at 2 hours. It's been, obviously it was going to be a longer show because there was a lot to talk about with Spectacular. But I think, unless there's anything else you guys need to bring up, I think we're good to wrap it up here. Just want to say again, thanks so much everyone for joining us in the comments and commenting along. We love your interaction. We really do. Obviously, in particular, Thomas, Leo, who tend to be with us every week, Ryan, Galaxy Geeks, Luke, Taco joined for a little bit. Who else was in there? Ben, Brian, everyone really who we really appreciate it. And Keith, at one point, if you could like the video, that'd be great for us. And please just let other people know who are interested in Schmoedown about Euroschmo. As we come, this is the final matches of the season. We still got a couple more shows before the end of the year, but I just want to say on behalf of Euroschmo, thank you so much for coming on this journey with us. Like, we recently went over 50 subscribers, and although that's not maybe a huge amount, for us that is a lot, and we're really proud of that. We've only been going since the start of this season. Thank you, Matt, for suggesting having a European after Schmoe and setting this up. Ben, you are amazing with our tech. You work really hard to get this set up every week, and we really appreciate it. And obviously Teresa hasn't been with us in the last few weeks, but I'm sure she'll be back when she's ready, and we love her opinion. Even though I often disagree with her, I still love to argue with her. So hopefully we'll have her back soon. Really want to thank again, Matt. You're the one that came up with this idea to have a European-based after Schmoe, and we really appreciate everyone for joining us in the journey. The other after shows have been so grateful in, inviting us on, taking part in our one. We've thanked you before, but Luke from Galaxy Geeks, thank you so much for stepping in for a few weeks when we were all really busy and couldn't bet with Ben. Sick, busy, and you really helped us out, and we are so thankful for that. And speaking of Schmoedown with Jay Wade, thank you so much for having us on. Schmoes of the North, I know, has had Matt on before. Keith has come on from This Week in FCL. Just we've had Shug from the real shows. Just thank you, everyone. I just wanted to say that because we've come to the end of the season. And like I said, we've still got a few more shows to go, but just really appreciate the support, and hopefully we continue to grow. We have some ideas for things next year. We might build the channel a bit. We'll get to that nearer the time. So we'll leave it there for today. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed. We shall see you next week for the Euroschmo Awards, which I'm sure will be some fun debates. Until then,
some stuff.
Please subscribe, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, and I just want to say, yet again, just a fun thing, did you notice how when Teresa is not here and Liam and Teresa is not arguing, or me and Teresa is not arguing, how we can manage to keep show under in the normal times?
I know. I miss the arguing though. I
Yeah.
hope Teresa's back
I do
soon.
too.
Yeah, me too. I always have different opinion than Teresa. That's so fun.
All right, guys. Thanks so much. We'll see you
Yeah.
next week for the awards.
See you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.